Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're tackling a massive assumption that holds so many of us back. You know that feeling, right? That idea that you're either born a great communicator or you just aren't. Or that you're either a naturally gifted artist or you're literally doomed to draw wobbly stick figures for the rest of your life. It is so frustrating to feel like you don't have that magic touch, whether you're losing your temper in a high-stakes conversation or just completely ruining a sketch. But here's the good news. Today, we are going to prove that mastering your expression, whether that means navigating a super emotional chat or sketching a beautiful image, isn't about some innate magical gift at all. It's actually a highly mechanical, step-by-step skill that anyone can learn. So here's our game plan for today. We're going to cover unraveling the knot, the power of pause, setting clear boundaries, the visual canvas, grip, pressure, and speed, and finally, the art of practice. Let's jump right in. To kick things off, we really have to ask ourselves a pretty unexpected question. How exactly does navigating a heated conflict with, say, your partner or a tough boss relate to putting pencil to paper? What's the common thread here? Well, it ultimately boils down to translation. It's the mechanics of how we translate those complex, messy thoughts and emotions inside of our heads out into the physical world. Trial lawyer turned communication expert Jefferson Fisher absolutely shatters this myth of innate talent. Having navigated intense high-stakes courtroom battles and deep personal conflicts, he reminds us that both our spoken words and our physical lines require intentional, mechanical calibration. Put simply, it's a learned skill. You don't just magically know how to do it. You have to train the mechanics. And honestly, once you accept that, you can finally stop beating yourself up over a supposed lack of talent and actually start building the real skill. All right. Section 1, unraveling the knot. Let's look at how we view conflict, because this is where most of us get it entirely wrong right out of the gate. When we get into an argument, our knee-jerk instinct is to treat it like a battle. We absolutely have to win, right? We bring our evidence, we raise our voices, and we try to totally defeat the other person's opinion. Think about that tight, anxious feeling in your chest when you are just desperate to prove you're right. It feels like a life or death struggle. But Fisher teaches us to flip the script. We need to see arguments not as battles, but as knots to gently unravel. Why? Because the person in front of you isn't actually fighting you, they're fighting to feel understood by you. When you shift your main goal from being right to validating their identity, the whole dynamic shifts. You stop fighting their opinion and you start soothing their hidden need. It's a total game changer. Moving on to Section 2, the power of pause. Let's talk about slowing it down. Unraveling that knot is literally impossible if your nervous system is in overdrive. So, the absolute key here is using Fisher's brilliant 5 to 7 second rule. When someone says something triggering, your hardwired human instinct is to defend yourself immediately. But instead, try this. Step 1, let your breath be your first word. Just take a deep inhale. Step 2, give it 5 to 7 seconds of total silence. Let those hurtful words physically fall to the ground between you two. You'd be surprised, but just hearing their own harsh words echo in that empty space will often cause the other person to walk them back without you having to do a single thing. And step 3, this pause places you in a position of calm, grounded control. Now you can respond with intention rather than just reacting defensively. Okay, Section 3, setting clear boundaries. It's time to protect your space. Once you have control of your biological response, you've got to learn the verbal mechanics of protecting your space. Think of these boundary-setting phrases as essential tools for your tool belt. If an argument is spiraling out of control over a misunderstood tone, just hit the reset button by calmly asking, "What did you hear?" It forces them to stop and reflect. Now imagine you're in a meeting and that one specific coworker constantly talks over you. Don't get petty, don't raise your voice, just stop, let them finish, and then firmly and quietly state, "I will listen to you when you finish," or "I can't hear you when you interrupt me." Boom. It immediately neutralizes the power play. Finally, when you need to decline a request, please stop over-explaining. We all do it out of guilt, I know, but over-explaining kills your confidence and just invites negotiation. Say no first. By framing your no as a promise you're keeping to yourself, it becomes unarguable, authentic, and incredibly powerful. So whether you're reacting defensively to a triggered emotional response or gripping a pencil so tightly your knuckles turn white, tension is the absolute enemy of clear, confident expression. It makes our words harsh, and it makes our lines jagged. Which brings us to Section 4, the visual canvas. Let's pivot to the physical mechanics. Notice how the foundational exercises mapped out here focus so heavily on deliberate structure. We're going to apply the exact same principles of intention and control that we just discussed, but this time to drawing. You don't just throw lead on the paper hoping it looks good, just like you don't just start yelling hoping to be understood, right? You have to calibrate your tools. Exactly like a healthy conversation, every great drawing starts with a deliberate structural foundation. Let's break that down in Section 5, grip, pressure, and speed. Time to adjust those mechanics. Compare the mechanics of these two hands. If you want to fix a shaky, unconfident line, you have got to abandon that tight, restrictive writing grip on the left. You know the grip we were all taught in grade school, where your fingers do all the work? That just leads to hand cramps and those awkward lines that curve inward toward your body because your wrist is acting like a rigid pivot point. Instead, try adopting the overhand artist's grip. Just let the pencil rest gently across your palm and let your whole arm move freely from the shoulder. This one physical shift instantly gives you longer, looser, and vastly more confident lines. Honestly, it's the physical equivalent of taking a deep breath, dropping your shoulders, and opening up your posture. Next up, we use pressure as a volume knob. Beginners almost always jump straight to pressing as hard as they can, usually out of anxiety or just wanting to finish the drawing quickly. But think about it. You wouldn't start a conversation screaming, would you? Instead, use a 5-level scale. Levels 1 and 2 are your whispers. You're barely touching the paper to build your initial shapes and structure. Patience is a key mechanic here. You only build up to a dark, heavy, confident level 5 when you are absolutely certain that a line belongs there. You commit to that emphasis only when your structural foundation is totally secure. And that brings us to our final section. Section 6, the art of practice. Let's talk about step-by-step mastery. Ultimately, whether you're trying to repair a fractured relationship or just learning how to sketch everyday objects, mastery is a daily journey. Look at how this detailed 30-day curriculum breaks down complex subjects into totally digestible daily lessons, from basic shapes to perspective, all the way to the human figure. The secret here is abandoning that ego-driven need for immediate perfection and actually committing to a 30-day timeline. You have to drop your ego, show up, do the exercises, and build that structural muscle memory day by day. That, my friends, is the only real path to mastery. This actually leads us to the ultimate takeaway tip, something you can apply literally right now. One of the best daily habits you can build is using what we call ghost strokes. This means physically rehearsing a motion in the air 2 or 3 times before ever actually touching your pencil to the paper. Just like mentally rehearsing a difficult conversation to make sure your tone is perfectly calibrated before you open your mouth, ghost strokes allow you to act with total intention. Plus, in drawing, speed outruns the wobble. When you go too slow because you're afraid of making a mistake, your hand second-guesses every single millimeter. By rehearsing first in the air, you can execute the stroke quickly and smoothly, completely removing that hesitant, scratchy line work. It's a real game changer. By mastering the mechanics of the 5-second pause, the overhand grip, the clear verbal boundary, and the confident ghost stroke, you stop letting tension dictate your actions. You stop merely reacting defensively to the world around you, and you finally take control of your own expression. So the question I want to leave you with today, whether you're picking up a pencil or picking up the phone to call a loved one, is this: are you just reacting to the world? Or are you intentionally expressing yourself?